Good morning. It's Thursday, November the 14th, and this is The Drill. Thank you. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today because I'm the only one who makes the presumption for the status quo. I'm one of the butchers, bakers, and candlesticks makers, an honorably discharged Desert Storm era veteran with an associate's degree, and I'm a registered independent. My podcast is made available through Spreaker and can be heard on iTunes, Spotify, Google, and YouTube. Today I'm going to tell you about the time that my supervisor refused my offer to take a day off without pay. I'm going to talk also about truth, justice, and the American way versus sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and you don't get it. All that when I come back. Thank you very much. Welcome back. Some years ago, I was off work for one day, and when I returned to work, I tried to take a sick day, but my supervisor informed me that I would need a doctor's note. I had no such note, and offered instead to take a vacation day, which was refused because I have to give advance notice of taking vacation time. Exasperated, I told my supervisor simply to give me the day off without pay. He said, no, we can't do that. I eventually had to go to the Human Resources Department to finally get things straightened out. This is an example of somebody that is trying to exercise arbitrary power. In other words, trying to assume authority without accepting a commensurate level of responsibility. My supervisor was ultimately overruled by reality, as are all tyrants. When I come back, truth, justice, and the American way versus sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Thank you. Truth, justice, and the American way versus sex, drugs, and rock and roll. These slogans sum up the differences between right and left. The first slogan is conservative, conceptual, and abstract. The second is socialist and materialistic. Materialism is dead. The fact is that modern human beings communicate with the use of concepts and abstractions, and the left only acknowledges that which they can touch and feel. It's fun to have fun, but it's not important. What are good are sex, drugs, and rock and roll without truth, justice, and the American way. When I come back, you don't get it. Thank you. You don't get it. That's a slogan we hear from the left every day. The left's job is to turn you and I into socialists. They do that in part with the statement, you don't get it. At that point, our curiosity takes over, we stop to listen, and the left begins the process of brainwashing. Don't allow yourself to be intimidated. The fact of the matter is that it isn't us who don't get it, but the left who don't understand. Back in a minute. Thank you very much. In conclusion, I've told you about the tyranny of a former supervisor, truth, justice, and American way versus sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and you don't get it. Who is the true conservative? He is the person that understands that conservatism is not just about politics, but culture as well. He is not selfish, but minds his own business. He acts like an adult. He is patriotic and uses common sense. He expresses what he knows and does so with absolute certainty. He makes judgments, refuses to speculate, speaks clearly and definitively, and is not afraid to say no. He is open-minded, asking why rather than why not. He is consistent, credible, and influential. Not ashamed of his existence, unafraid to learn or correct his mistakes. He is a normal American, and he is better than the socialist. He is a better friend, father, brother, family member, and a better person, period. You have to know that. If you don't know with every fiber of your being that being a true conservative is best, then you are wasting your time. And that brings me to the conclusion of another episode of The Drill. Remember that the left has no authority, no power, and they can't win. True conservatives know that nothing is inevitable. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.